Hi everybody, this is a red and black Arcane Bombardment deck that wants to use Breach the Multiverse, a new card from March of the Machines, to either mill our opponent out or mill something delicious into the graveyard that we get to reanimate. You can see we've got a couple of copies of Atraxa Grand Unifier for us to reanimate and to refill our hand. We've got a few different dual lands, so as long as we've got a treasure, we can usually cast Atraxa if we really need to. Bringing up the low end, we've got a bunch of instants and sorceries. We've got some removal. We're playing Volcanic Spite to test this out. Deals 3 damage to creature or planeswalker or battle. And then we get to put a card from our hand on the bottom of our library and then draw a card. Over in the 3-drop area, we've got 3 Brotherhoods End to survive the early game. As we're changing over between sets, everybody's still kind of figuring things out, except for the few that have been seeing the tried and true aggro strategies we've been seeing for the last several weeks. Also running a couple of Geistflame Reservoir to play nicely with Arcane Bombardment, a few Fable of the Mirror Breaker to hold the deck together. We're trying to pile on for some removal. We could convoke this late game with some of our Devils, but more often than not, it's just a 4-mana instant where we get to Surveil 2 and destroy something. And then we've got 4 copies of Big Score, which, along with Fable of the Mirror Breaker, helps us to discard Breach of the Multiverse in the early game, so that we can reuse it with Arcane Bombardment once we get that going. Now, thanks to all the treasure production in here, we can hardcast this along with Atraxa sometimes if we want to get that extra effect. And I'll tell you, reanimating Atraxa is great, but pulling some of these new cards out of our opponent's graveyard from March of the Machines has been really fun, really interesting way to kind of learn about what's going on. There's some outside cases where we could potentially mill our opponent out of the game if we activate Bombardment on our opponent's turn, and we've got maybe 1 or 2 under these. Other than that, though, we tend to draw a lot of cards, so we're more often in danger of milling ourselves out. So we kind of have to close out the game before that happens, and we can always decide not to reuse this with Bombardment if we really want to go that way. Now, we've got a nice smattering of dual lands over here to make the whole thing work. So let's see some games with this deck on the ranked standard ladder. Now, I'll be with you for some commentary, of course, but as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. All right, let's start it off here, see if we can't breach the multiverse a little bit. Gonna lead off with a Haunted Ridge. See what madness our opponent has in store for us as March of the Machines kicks off. Looking to cast this Breach the Multiverse. So let's get down Blackleave Cliffs, keep building up the mana. Nice thing about this card is it's not so laughably expensive as something like Explosive Singularity, so we can actually cast this if we get into the late game. Opponent with a Storm Chaser Drake. So the question is, do we spite the Drake or do we drown it in Ichor? Let's go ahead and drown it. I want to keep this spite as an instant for later in the game. Instants are a little bit more valuable later on when we've got a bombardment going, and we're just looking for stuff to do on the opponent's turn. Opponent with a Thornwood Falls goes up to 22. Going to follow that up with a Rot Priest. They've got 1 mana left. Just going to go Rot Priest number 2. Well, in that case, we're going to get up to land number 4. I think I want to pile on here. Destroy one of these Rot Priests. It's going to result in 2 poison counters for us, but we do get a little peek at the top of the deck. Plus, they're tapped out, and we can't really pass up that opportunity. So let's ditch the swamp, and we'll keep Fable on the top. That is going to help accelerate us into Breach. Maybe find us a Bombardment. Opponent casts Storm Chaser Drake and attacks with the Rot Priest. Brings us up to 3 poison counters. So we've got land number 5. That's Fable. We've got a Spite here, just in case they want to try tapping out. Opponent with land number 4 into Ivy. Do we want to spite now? Yep, let's spite the Rot Priest now, because if Ivy's on board and they go to protect it, then that's a whole lot of poison counters. Okay, but they don't. So we're going to put a land back on the bottom of our deck. We draw a lightning strike with that. Oh. Opponent's got the security bypass, so that means Ivy's going to get a free copy of that enchantment. They draw off the Drake attacks for 2, and as a result will connive. The opponent discards to put a counter on the Drake. Alright. Let's get Geistflame Reservoir down. Everybody's flying, so I think it makes sense to just get in here with the Shaman. We'll attack and make a token. And we'll try to lightning strike the Drake now. Love how Ivy copies that. Would you like to copy that spell, Ivy? Didn't think so, so Drake is down. Breach the Multiverse coming soon. If we can keep this Shaman going. Opponent with a bloated Contaminator. And they're going to cast Audacity on it. Kind of a nice little spell, that Audacity. Alright, so Ivy's going to hit us for 4. I see, so when the creature dies, you draw a card. Not a bad thing to have a free copy of. So our Fable will flip over. Well, we have enough for Breach. Don't think it makes sense to do it post-combat. Let's go ahead and Breach. See what happens. Counter goes on the Reservoir. Everybody mills 10. Let's see. Oh, there's Atraxa for us. That's great. And so we'll pick Atraxa here. Oh, it's already picked. And I think of our opponent's stuff, Rot Priest makes the most sense. So let's get this Atraxa trigger out of the way. We're going to take... Yeah, we'll take Burn Down the House. Just a mountain, big score. Well, no, let's take this Lightning Strike. We can pick up an extra copy of Bombardment as well. Big score was tempting, but Lightning Strike is going to help us finish a game here. They're going to Audacity again on the Bloated Contaminator. Makes everybody a big threat here. Well, luckily we've got Atraxa to block. Question is, what do we block? Let's block the Contaminator. Alright, so that attack brings us to 5. Atraxa's combat brings us back up to 12. Couple of Audacity things happen, so opponent's going to draw, and now they will connive thanks to the security bypass. And they discard a safekeeping. That's interesting. We get Render Inert off the top. So Render could be used on Ivy, but it won't necessarily destroy it, since its life is not counter-dependent. I think we're going to burn down the house here, so let's... Where are we? Let's get in with these. No, we got a Bombardment. Like, we can take another hit from Ivy. I was thinking we'd have to wipe this, but, like, our board's not bad, and Ivy on her own, she's already about as threatening as she can be. We've seen multiple Audacities from the opponent. I think we're okay. Any effects here? Okay, no. So just a large hit from Ivy takes us to 3. We will Lightning Strike our opponent then and try to get this Bombardment off the ground. Sorry, forgot I had to actually pay for the spell I want to cast. We're going to get a counter on the Reservoir. Bombardment is going to pick up... It's going to pick up a Volcanic Spite. Well, let's do it anyway. It's going to put a counter on the reservoir for free. So even though it won't destroy Ivy, we will get a free counter out of it. Oh, an opponent with the safekeeping. All right. That was unexpected, but I will take it. So we're at 3. We need to address this Ivy situation. So probably need to burn down the house. Well, hold on a sec. Let's take a look. We do have a breach down here. All right, it's not guaranteed that we'll pick up removal. I was trying to think if we could keep our creatures around a little bit longer and help us do some more damage, but let's get in with everybody. Opponent goes down to 13. We're going to try to burn down the house. We'll pick up Drown in Ichor. We will cast it. I guess we could have cast that Spite too, but it's okay. All right, that works. They get a couple of Audacity triggers, draw some cards. We unfortunately lose our board, but it's the least important part of our board. Opponent with a land, no creature to follow up. All right, well, I think it's wide open now for Bombardment to start picking some things up. Think we can afford number 2, but I do kind of want to keep the reservoir available. Yeah, let's render inert on our own bombardment. We don't need to take any counters off anything, but it does draw us a card. It gives us an activation and finds breach. Do some milling on both sides. There's our Atraxa. And we'll take Rot Priest again. Atraxa trigger will go off. I think we'll choose Breach. We'll choose a cycling land. Get us a play with fire for a little more burn. Backup Atraxa and another reservoir. And then we just draw with Render Inert. Play with fire at the opponent's face finds us Arcane Bombardment on the top of our library. We're going to go ahead and play with fire again. That puts another counter on the reservoir. Don't think it matters what's on the top of our library at this point, because we've got 11 counters on Geistflame Reservoir. And we will throw that at the opponent, and it gets through. Good game. All right, I think this is acceptable. Got a nice early Brotherhood's End here. Made a couple of tweaks since my first couple of matches with this deck. Mostly just adding in more copies of Brotherhood's End. Opponent's going to start off with a Skrelv over there. So in the early days of a new set release, things can kind of go one of two ways. And so far I've been running into opponents that are still on the aggro plans of yesteryear, as they say. Playing old decks, already existing decks, just adding a couple of new cards in here and there. So important for us as a slow deck to still take that into account and have something for the early game so that we can play our really overcosted cards here that we've got in our hand. We've got 2 6 cost and 1 7 cost. Sculpted Perfection from our opponent. It's going to pump up all Phyrexians, give our opponent an Incubator token. Well, let's take this opportunity then to big score away this Breach the Multiverse. We draw another one. Blackcleave Cliffs from us. Well, let's Arcane Bombardment then. Opponent, unfortunately, in colors that do have access to some enchantment removal. Invoke Despair. Disenchant. Oh, they will just transform the Incubator. Go to attacks and get in with Skrelv and the token. So that brings us down to 11. We've got 4 poison counters, but they don't seem that heavily focused on poison. Let's Brotherhood's End. Go on Destroy Artifacts mode in case they've got any power toughness enhancing spells. We're going to cast Big Score, discard another Breach. Although with those treasures, I suppose we could have held on to that for next turn, but you know, I want to be activating Bombardment every turn, so we need to hold on to some instants here. Ooh, they're going to offer Immortality to Skrelv, who will accept. Survives our board wipe. Well, let's drown in Ichor on Skrelv then. Nothing to proliferate, but the -4/-4 effect is enough to take care of Skrelv, even though he's indestructible. Alright, opponent of course has backup copy of Skrelv. Passes it on back to us. I think now's the time to pile on to Skrelv before he gets out of his summoning sickness state. Activate Bombardment here. We're going to Big Score, discarding Fable. Not sure it makes sense to cast Brotherhood's End. Yep, no reservoir on the table. And we'll get a peek at the top. Let's get rid of that land, but we'll keep another pile on here. Black having still some of the best creatures available, so need a little bit of removal for those. We're going to Big Score at the end of our opponent's turn. Discard a mountain. Big Score again. Well, Bombardment's been safe. Let's discard the second one. And we pick up a few instants here. That's nice. Load of treasures, some more land. We're going to get this Cliffs down. No targets for cut down. Let's use our Big Score then to activate Bombardment. Oh, found a Breach. I think order-wise, though, let's Big Score away this cut down first. And then Breach, of course. Nothing to Brotherhood's End. Everybody's going to mill 10. Did that work? All right, we milled some stuff from the opponent. There's all their toxic creatures. Let's take the Duelist, and yeah, I guess we just didn't mill Atraxa. Too bad for us. All right, opponent's going to hit the Jawbone Duelist with Whispers of the Dross. Get us up to 5 poison counters here. Still a couple of big scores going off, and definitely enough treasure to hardcast this Atraxa. Atraxa comes down. We're going to get a trigger. Let's take a cycling land. We'll take a play with fire. A Atraxa for sure, and Fable as well for the enchantment slot. Let's get Geistflame Reservoir down, thanks to all this extra mana. And we'll keep up the ability to play with fire on our opponent's turn. Opponent goes land into Ossification. Well, that will exile Atraxa. Yeah, no real enchantment removal from us, unfortunately, but we can play with fire at our opponent. Start activating our things and getting some counters on this reservoir. We're going to Lightning Strike the opponent's face. We're going to Brotherhood's End just because to get the counter. We're going to Big Score away a mountain. I think we're going to decline this Breach, so yeah, we've only got 15 cards left in our library, and we've been drawing a bit more than our opponent. We are kind of on the burn 'em out plan right now. Okay. Let's see here. Let's Brotherhood's End. Sorcery way to activate Bombardment. Let's see what we can pick up. 2 breaches under there. We're going to Brotherhood's End for nothing. We're going to Big Score. Get rid of this land. Ugh. Yeah, it could have gone either way there. thanks to this reservoir, we're kind of on the burn them out plan, but I suppose we could have breached twice, and the opponent would have been the first one to draw. But I think they got too many cards. Yep. All right. So let's lightning strike opponent's face, take them down to 9, which puts a counter on the reservoir, which now has enough to throw a bunch of counters at the opponent. All right. Good game. Only 2 lands, but feeling lucky. Opponent with a nice Freyalise Avatar over there. Don't see that one too often. Going to start off with a Crystal Grotto, get a little scry going there. We're going to do Ziatora's Proving Ground ourselves, as we already pick up our 3rd land. And it starts off with a Galagreeters. That definitely can't stick around, so we're going to use Drown and Ichor on that before they get to kind of snowball any advantage from that. Blackleave Cliffs for us. Let's get this Sulfurous Springs down. Might be a good opportunity to big score here. Opponent uses Crystal Grotto mana to cast a Kumano over there. Let's big score away our Breach. And we pick up Arcane Bombardment. Yep, let's go for it. They could have a Boseiju in hand, but you got to make them have it. Opponent with another Kumano. We pick up a Brotherhood's End. I suppose we were getting close to having 7 mana for Breach, but, you know, Bombardment just gives us the opportunity to go a little crazier and just keep reusing stuff. So, all right. So we get a big score under Bombardment. We're going to discard Fable. We pick up another Fable and a land, and then a Bombardment and a Reservoir. So let's play our land. Let's see. We're just going to pass. Keep up the possibility of casting this pylon on something. There you go, opponent. There's the land. Opponent with a Miglaws that's going to get a free counter from Kumano. Going to attacks. Opponent's going to get in with the Monk. Let's pile on Miglaws. There we go. So we pulled up Breach into Arcane Bombardment. We're going to Breach and big score. We'll discard extra Bombardment here. A couple of lands with big score, and nope, opponent's seen enough. Good game. All right, we've got a Breach. We've got a lot of lands. We got a Fable to hopefully accelerate us into 7 mana territory. Opponent looking to be on some kind of green and white. Volcanic Spite, going to be useful for these early couple of turns. A little bit different from something like Cathartic Pyre, that is definitely a discard to the graveyard to draw. Oh, there's a target. Opponent with a Jukai Naturalist. So we're going to tuck a Swamp back on the bottom. We end up picking up a Proving Ground. We're going to go Haunted Ridge into Fable. Start trying to make some treasures and get us into one of these 2 Breaches of the Multiverse we have in hand. I don't know if any of y'all remember the green-white enchantments runes deck of Standards Past, but personally kind of glad that one's gone. Let's see here. We're going to discard 1 Breach to Fable. Ugh, and of course we get lands. Lands for days. Well, we will play a land. Attack with the Shaman. Get a little treasure token. See if they want to block here. They do not. Going to take the opponent down to 16, but with a lifelinky naturalist on the board, that's not much progress. Opponent with a land. Hey, that's a new one. Alright, so they're going to go Heliod. They're going to return a non-god enchantment from the graveyard to their hand. We're going to cycle this Proving Ground. We might... Nope, okay. There's a slim chance we could have found a play with fire there. Our Fable flips over. Well, we're attacking with the Shaman for sure to get the free treasure. Yeah, new Heliod. Kind of nice. Nice big body. Get some enchantments back. Let's go ahead and breach the multiverse since we're at 7. Everybody mills. Oh, we find nothing. Opponent's creatures. We could draw... You know, Weaver. Weaver could be interesting. We're about to have an active Fable next turn if this thing survives. And our win condition is enchantment based. Like, we might be able to double up an Arcane Bombardment activation, I think. Opponent going Catilda into another naturalist. We just pick up a land. Well, let's play Haunted Ridge. Yep, I think we just pass here. If we big score now... Yeah, I think the math works out. If we big score now, there's not a lot we can do to affect the board, so we might as well just hang on to it. There's a slim chance we could do a little combat trickiness here. Ooh, okay, so Kami of Transience into Touch the Spirit Realm. Who's it going to be? They target the Fable. Well, in response to that, let's do our trick early. We'll make a second Weaver. Nice fancy art Weaver. So that's going to brick wall the 2 naturalists from attacking, but they can still get in with Catilda here. Hit us for 6, bring us down to 12. Let's big score away this mountain. Ah, there we go. We found a burn down the house. I think that's... Oh, and a breach, though. Nah, I think we gotta we gotta burn it down. We can follow up next turn with this breach. Yeah, might as well play the Xander's Lounge. So unfortunately, Kami's going back to our opponent's hand, but board fortunately clear, so they can't play the Catilda on anything right away. So they're going to replay Kami. That's Restoration of Eiganjo. That's pretty good. Opponent going to go looking for a Plains. All right, back to us. Let's breach. All right, so we do find Atraxa for ourselves. Let's see, I milled another Catilda down there. That's not good. Could do... Oh. We could take... Heliod. Heliod looking good here. Kind of tempted by Weaver, but Heliod. How you doing? Yeah, let's try that. So we're going to get Heliod and return our enchantment-based win condition to our hand. Pick up a burn down the house with Atraxa, Blackcleave Cliffs, Mountain. Grab a Lightning Strike and a Reservoir. Might as well play out this land. And I think what we're going to do... Yeah, let's Lightning Strike this Kami. I know they're able to get it back, but it prevents them from slapping down that Catilda aura on something and just attacking with it right away. All right, so they do discard to Restoration. That's going to give them the option of returning something to their battlefield. They go for Ossification. So that will exile Atraxa. They're going to follow that up with a by invitation only. So we have to sacrifice our Stolen Heliod. That means opponent gets back 2 Kami from the graveyard. It's the one downside of milling our opponent so much. Let's see. Yeah, I think we've got a window to get Bombardment down. Play out this Proving Ground here, and might as well get the Reservoir going, since we don't have a way to activate Bombardment right away. This Restoration is going to flip, so they will have a target for an aura, but they can't attack with it immediately. Okay, opponent with a Kami. Kami number 2. Oh, I'm just gonna do the 3rd Kami there. So opponent with kind of a full board now. Well, that makes this kind of an easy choice. We're gonna burn down the house. Opponent knew about it, but they probably also knew they're gonna get their stuff back. But they're just gonna give it up. All right, good game. All right, a little awkward keeping this. We've got 3 lands, which is nice. We've got a Reservoir, always good. Clunky Atraxa in our opening hand, but we might be able to discard this to big score. The rest of our hand, kind of expensive. All right, turn 3, we're going to go ahead and get Reservoir online, start investing in our future. Oh, nope, yeah, opponent's got a counter for it. Good call. Can't blame you for that. Opponent with land number 3, but no follow-up. We're just going to go land 4 for us. Our expensive hand not going to be doing anything right away. Atsushi, huh? All right, we're going to go land pass. What are the odds that this is my Duplimancy Dragons deck? Pretty low. Invasion of Tarkir. So that's going to come down. Let's see. If they flip that over, they're going to get a free dragon. Otherwise, they're going to do some damage to us. Having shown a Maniform Hellkite. Okay, so this is sort of Dragon's theme. Let's big score Atraxa away. End of our opponent's turn. We pick up 2 cards. Another burn down the house. Well, if they've got to make disappear, we've got the 2 mana to pay for it. So let's try to get Bombardment down. We do have a backup copy if they've got a different counterspell. But opponent seems to be on the attack with big dragons plan, which is definitely solid. Alright, just a Maniform Hellkite. Nice little animation we get here. And they're going to attack the battle. So that's going to flip over as well. Give them another 4/4 dragon. Well, unfortunately for those dragons, they all fit under a burn down the house. So we're going to do that. Get a free big score off of Bombardment. Think we can pitch the other burn down the house. Kind of want that in the graveyard to use later. Alright, they decide to get Treasure with Atsushi. Land number 5. Just passing it on back. Let's try to Lightning Strike our opponent then. See what goodies Bombardment can give us. We get Burn Down the House. Let's make Devils for sure. We're going to big score away, cut down. Not a lot of good targets against a bunch of 4/4 dragons. Opponent with a Memory Deluge. So they'll take a look at the top 4 and come back with 2 of them. Lightning Strike brings our opponent to 18. Leaves us with 3 Devils on the board. What to do here? Well, that's a big score. Try and draw into something else. We pick up a nice Burn Down the House number 2. So let's make 6 more devils. Yep, think I would like to burn big score again. We will pitch Bombardment, pick up another Volcanic Spite, draw into it another Bombardment, and a Fable. Well, let's attack for half of our opponent's life total. And we do have this Brotherhood's End, so we can do some damage to... Nope. All right, good game.